trouble knocks on our door, just to be enwrapped in that prayer bubble, having people praying for me, praying for Michael, praying for you, if that should happen in your life. It's a good place to be. So, we're going to have a great Sunday celebration here today. I want to welcome each and every one of you here. And I want to just start us off with a couple of acknowledgments. First of all, I want to say thank you to Reverend Mike. He is so supportive. Even when he is out, I still feel his presence, and I feel like I'm enwrapped in a prayer bubble. I want to say thank you to, we've got a lovely singer, Sharyn Scott's here today, and she's going to be joined by Chris and Leon and Brian on drums. So thank you very much. And then for our support here today, we have Gloria on sound. We couldn't hear a thing if it wasn't for Gloria, so thank you, Gloria. And we got Harris back there hitting all those keys, hot fingers, I know. And so thank you, Harris. You're doing a great job. We appreciate it. And so today, our practitioner is Peter Bedard, and he'll be leading us in our invocation and a reading. And we'll be doing that in just a few minutes. And so I'd like to just ask you to go ahead and take a deep breath in with me. And just let it go as we prepare for our meditation and then our invocation and reading.
You are the one I love, on high and up above. I will only be what you would have me be. I will only do what you will do through me. I am the one you love, no matter what I've done. For the past was only made to bring me here, where I choose to be awake, forever clear, that I am you, walking up to the light, walking up to the light, walking up into my life. I am walking to you. I am the Holy One, your blessed and holy Son. I am standing in the truth and with no fear, for I know without a doubt that I am here to live as you, walking up to the light, walking up to the light, walking up into my life. I am walking to walking as you.
Good morning, my Ahiah family. I am so happy to be here with you together in consciousness this day. One day we'll get to be together again in person, but for now, please stay safe and be wise. So I'm out here in my backyard hoping you can see the peach blossoms and the peach buds that cover the tree. It's so beautiful, and I see that our pet pig and our pet dog are back there too, so enjoy them as well. Today's reading comes from The Secret Healing of the Ages by Catherine Ponder. Understanding has a solution for every problem. A new flood of life comes to those who open their minds and bodies to understanding. It raises the atomic vibration of the organism above the usual disintegrating thought currents of the earth. The ebb and flow of understanding produces a fine essence of life, which flows through the nerves and also courses through the blood. Your increased understanding also affects the great ganglia, nerve centers of the sympathetic system, regulating the functions of respiration, circulation, and digestion, as well as the lesser nerve centers near the heart and stomach. This nervous system makes you feel more joyous and healthy as you develop your mind power of understanding. The cerebrospinal system consists of the brain and spinal cord, with branches to various parts of the body which give one the power to move, also respond to your increased understanding. The development of your mind power of understanding is one of the most advanced metaphysical developments you can make. You can heal your body and revolutionize your life through the increased understanding. Once you learn to harness and use your intuitive understanding, you will not go back to the old trial and error method of reason, logic, willpower, any more than one has learned the advantages of harnessing and using electricity would go back to coal, oil, and the old ways of living. You can tell this was written a while ago. Intuitive understanding has a beautiful solution for any dilemma. For this purpose, center your attention in the front forehead and quietly relax into the thought, be still, and know that I am God. I am the light of the world. Think of the light, then permeating and penetrating your entire body and all of your affairs. In that light is increased energy, guidance, and healing. From the top of your head to the tip of your toes, sweep your body with the thought of light and enlightenment. Then follow through on the intuitive understanding that comes as you affirm often, I am intuitive understanding. Within me is the wisdom of the ages. The mind that knows how is showing me now. The mind that knows where is leading me there. The mind that knows when will tell me then. So please join me now in affirmative prayer. Just take a deep breath and turn within. And recognize together with me that there is one infinite presence, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-wise. It is the creative life impulse that is the source of all, every person, every place, every event, every circumstance. That includes me, and that includes each and every one listening. And so I claim for each of us an open mind, an open heart that allows us to take this truth deeper than ever before, that each and every one is a unique, individualized manifestation of spirit. I claim for each and all a deeper understanding, and that this understanding permeates every cell and fiber of our being, in peace, in love, in faith. And when our mind goes elsewhere, I claim for each of us, we remember to say, I am understanding. My intuition guides me. My intuition is powered by the divine wisdom within me. I am so grateful for this time of celebration together this morning. I declare that it is a source of inspiration and renewal for each and every one of us, between the talks and the music, and just knowing that we're watching together. I claim that community strengthens and broadens and uplifts us all. so that we have increased peace, increased faith, increased hope that all is well in the world. And our consciousness of this spreads and has a ripple effect and touches the world. It radiates out from us and returns to us multiplied. It sprinkles our joy wherever we go, that we may be a source of inspiration and also be inspired right where we are and wherever we go, whenever we go. So grateful for this community, grateful for spiritual practice, grateful for the knowing that as it is spoken, it is indeed done. So I release my word to that law that has no power to choose, yet all the power to do, and I declare it as done, and I let it be so. Join me in saying, and so it is. Amen. There you are, my family. Please take excellent care of yourselves. Now more than ever, we need to deepen our spiritual practice, and so I hold that in consciousness for you. Love and blessings.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. That was a beautiful prayer. And thank you to Gabriel for the meditation video also. And so now it's time for Sharyn Scott to sing us a song and get us in that mood for our Sunday celebration. Take it away, Sharyn.
Good morning. Very happy to be here today. I'm very grateful. Every step you made will never be a mistake. How could it be when we are so blessed and guided eternally? So even if you should fall, God is listening anytime you call. Don't forget, you're not alone. Wherever you go, you're already home. So get comfortable, find an easy chair. There's nowhere to go, you're already there. There's nowhere to look but where you are. You are beautiful, a shining star. No matter what you do or where you've been, you are beautiful. Love surrounding you. So get comfortable, find an easy chair. There's nowhere to go, you're already there. There's nowhere to look but where you are. You are beautiful, a surrounding you. So don't forget, you're not alone. Wherever you go, you're already home.
Oh, thank you, Sharyn. Well, if you're here right now, you absolutely are already home. And so it's good to see you again, Sharyn. Look forward to seeing you again in just a few minutes. So good to come here live at Ahiah. I love it. You know, it's so much nice. It's so nice. So we have been talking about the basics, basically. What is spirit? How does it work? How do we use it? Those are the very basic ideas that we talk about every January. And then later on in the year, we keep referring back to it. We keep referring back and we say, this is how we use spirit in relationships. This is how it shows up in the world. This is how we use it when we want to live the life of affluence and prosperity, which is the truth of us. And so this month is really important, I think, and we got a lot of good things to say. And we talked already, we started out the month, we talked a little bit about the Sermon by the Sea, which was Ernest Holmes' last public talk, and he reminded us to be for something and against nothing. And it's an interesting proposal to do that, to live our lives being against nothing. Well, I'm still working on that one. But, you know, it's the more we're aware of it, the more we can recognize when we're not quite following that line, the better our lives are. And then we've said that spirit is all there is, one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. A lot of words, they have a lot of meaning. And last week we talked about this creative power that spirit is, and that it is invoked through us. If spirit wants to create, it creates through us and as us, because all thought is creative. And so we talked about how it's all of our thought, not just our conscious thought, but the 90% of our thought which is below our conscious understanding or recognition. We call it unconscious or subconscious. And that's a lot of thought. Right? I'm thinking a lot up on the 10% that I know I'm thinking, so I must be thinking a whole lot more down below. And all of that goes into spirit, and it creates and it's reflected back into our lives. And so if we want to know what we're thinking down there, down in the basement there, we get to, you know, we know it by those funny little thoughts that come into our mind of, you know, I'm not good enough, or I don't deserve this. That's coming from that basement thinking. Or we see it reflected back into our lives. And if we don't like what we're living right now, then we want to start thinking something different. And so we that's our challenge. That's what we can do. And last week what I said is we do that by making different choices. That what's down in there is based on every choice that we've ever made. A lot of choices. But we get to start afresh. We get to start anew today. And so we can choose again. So Reverend Mike's not here, as I mentioned earlier today. He also won't be here next week because we have a special guest speaker coming in. His name is Gerald Rivers, and he is also known kind of as the voice of Martin Luther King Jr. And so if you've ever seen him do that, he is absolutely amazing. He's done a couple of, he's rented the sanctuary a couple of times, and I've gotten the opportunity to listen in. And he does an amazing job with that, but then he's also, he has amazing things to say from the perspective of what would Martin Luther King say today, based on the Science of Mind teachings. He is a Science of Mind student, so he understands our philosophy, and he teaches from that place too. So, put that on your calendar. It'll be great to have him here next week. So this week, the talk title is Spirit Works. And yes, it does. Spirit absolutely does work. And we talked about the creative power last week, this idea of our thoughts being creative. But today, what I want to do is I want to bring it home. I want to talk about how that actually shows up in your life, in my life, in all life. And so, I want to start out with this idea of what the heck does the word work mean? Because it has a lot of meanings. And I want to talk to you about the meaning from a place of understanding from physics. So if you've been following me for a while, you probably already know that I am a physicist by training, that I have a master's degree from Caltech in applied physics. I spent 30 years out at Northrop Grumman making satellites using that knowledge of physics, as my underpinning. And now I've kind of put that to bed, and I've, a little bit, not fully. I still think about it, but now I'm in ministry. And so, but it's interesting to kind of put the two things together sometime. And right now I'm thinking about the word work, and in physics, the word work means it's what you get when you take the force of something and it moves over time. So however much force you had times the distance that it moved in that direction of the force, that's work, according to physics. So, what does that mean? How does that show up in our lives then? Well, for instance, we're saying that spirit works. So spirit is doing that work. Well, if you, in your personal life, are pushing on a rock, let's say, and it's a big rock, it's a heavy rock, it's one that's standing right in front of you, and you push and you push and you push, and maybe you get exhausted. You feel like you've done a lot of work, but you haven't gotten anywhere. You haven't moved that stone one little inch, and you know what? You actually have done no work according to physics. You might be exhausted, but there's no work that's been done. And another example would be a moon going around the planet. Well, the thing about that is the moon's moving this way and the planet's pulling it this way. They are perpendicular to each other. So there is no movement in the direction of the force. So it does no work according to physics. And the funny thing about that is when you're in a circular orbit, when you come back around, what do? You find yourself in the exact same spot. I don't know. Maybe you guys have felt like you've moved around the earth once or twice and come back to exactly the same spot. I know that happens to me. And it's because there is no work done. And so we, live our lives, and sometimes we do all of this effort and we get no result, basically. We do no work. But the thing to remember is that spirit always works. Spirit has infinite power, so there is no obstacle that it cannot move. There is no rut deep enough that it can't get you out of it. It always works. So spirit works. What else do we say works? What is it that we say at Ahiah works? Prayer works. Thank you. Prayer works. we have a winner in the back. Oh, so yes, absolutely. Prayer works. It's working through us. It's having spirit do its work through us and as us. And so, we get to do the prayer, And then Spirit gets to do the work. And that's the way the world's supposed to actually work. Everything that we do should be first a mental process. And sometimes part of the process of Spirit working is for us to go out and push a rock. But sometimes that's not the answer whatsoever. And Spirit will guide us. So we have this infinite power of creation at our disposal all the time. And it works through the power of prayer, but how does that show up? How does that work exactly? Well, sometimes there are obstacles, and then we have to decide what to do with those. Now, last week we had for our singer, Clark Long was here, and he sang a song, Lord, don't move that mountain. And he gave you two options on that. One was that he could go around it. You know, don't move that mountain because I'm going to go around it. And what does that symbolize, really? Well, if I'm going to go around it, you know, I've come up to this mountain, I'm at this cliff face, and I decide, you know, I've been trying to go this way, it ain't working no more. Been trying, I might even pushed on that mountain a bit, but I'm going to choose another direction. And the thing about that is I'm going to ask Spirit to guide me, because when I go around the mountain, I might really take the long way around if I don't have a guide. And so I ask Spirit to guide me, and it guides me around the mountain. The other option from Lord, don't move that mountain was he would go over the mountain. And what does that look like in our lives? Well, I think that looks like this. I think when we go over the mountain, it is not the case where we get out the rope and the tackle and all these things and we're climbing up and we're hanging off the mountain, you know, God, don't let me drop, you know. I don't think that's what happens when we do that. I think the answer to that one is actually that we spiritually grow. We define ourselves as bigger and bigger and bigger. And as we get bigger, the mountain, it doesn't get any smaller, but in relationship to us, it does. And so what we get to do then is we get to just step over that little molehill that used to be a mountain. And that process is called spiritual growth. And we should be on that process of growing and growing and growing all the time. So problems that seem so huge in the past should become just small little molehills after a while. And then this one's my favorite, and it wasn't in the song, but you know, you can go through the mountain too. And what it looks like to go through the mountain is all of a sudden there's a tunnel that shows up in front of you. It's a miracle. And you know, when you get into a tunnel, we've all had this experience, right? We've all gone through tunnels. You either drive through a tunnel in a car, or maybe you've taken a train through a tunnel. The thing is when you're in the middle of that tunnel, you don't know how big that mountain is. It could be, you know, 10 feet tall. Could be 100 feet tall, 1,000 feet tall. It could be a mile tall. Who knows? You're in a tunnel, and you've been granted access through it. Spirit has created a miracle. And then what does that look like? That looks like when, you know, for instance, if you go to the doctor and you get a diagnosis, and they say, oh, you have this. And then, you know, a month later, and you go back, and the doctor says, well, maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was an error in the testing, because I don't see any signs of that now. It's a miracle. It's Spirit moving through you, and as you, in a way that all you're doing is just moving through that tunnel. So what do we use this infinite power for? Well, the answer is anything we can put our minds to. That's what that power, when Spirit works, Spirit's working on what we're thinking. And here's the thing, though. Here's the rub. I think that oftentimes we're working on the wrong thing. Now, let me tell you something about that. I have a friend, his name is Reverend Timothy Rich, and he sends me just about every morning, he sends me a text because he gets up early in the morning, and part of his spiritual practice is to kind of contemplate and see what's coming in. And he writes down a text that he sends out to some people, and I'm one of the lucky ones, who gets his text. And my spiritual practice is to get up in the morning, read his text, and contemplate that a little bit. That's one of my morning spiritual practices. Well, the other day, a couple of weeks ago, he sent me one of those, and it had a word in it that I had never seen. Never seen this word before, and it was spelled weird. I didn't even know how to pronounce it. And it's spelled Lagniappe. And it's pronounced, according to Wikipedia anyway, lagniappe. So the etymology of it is where it comes from is it comes out of New Orleans. And it supposedly has history back from Spanish words. But anyway, the point of this word, lagniappe, is that it's a little bit extra that you get when you buy something. So it's a lagniappe, for instance, a baker's dozen isn't 12 donuts if you go to a donut shop. And get 12 donuts, if it's a baker's dozen, they give you an extra one. That 13th donut then is the lagniappe. It's a little tip that goes on top of things. And so, Mark Twain, it's been around for a while because Mark Twain hasn't been around for a while. And he said he went to New Orleans and he heard this word. He wrote something which was ended up quoted on Wikipedia. And he basically said that, just hearing this word and having that idea and the way they use it in New Orleans, it was worth the trip to New Orleans just to learn that word. So here, I've been thinking a lot about it over the last couple of weeks, and here's what I've decided, is that it's a great spiritual principle. Because the problem that we have so often, the reason I'm saying that so many times we're praying and using this power for the wrong thing, is that so often what we're doing is we're putting our prayer on the lagniappe, not on the prize. Right? The prize is the 12 donuts. The lagniappe is the 13th one that comes for free. And so, for example, we may be stuck in a money situation and we start praying for the money. The money is not the prize. The knowing the abundance that Spirit is as my life, allowing the affluence that Spirit is to flow through my life, being able to create from a place of joy, confidence, and ease, that's the prize. The lagniappe is what comes after, that what comes because of it. The lagniappe is the money that shows up in the bank account. But the prize is the part where I know Spirit more fully in my life. Sometimes, we might be in a love relationship which we've decided is the wrong love relationship, or we're not in a love relationship and we want to be in a love relationship, and so we put all of our attention on bringing in this prince or princess into our life, but the prince or princess is the lagniappe. The prize is the love that God is. The prize is knowing the truth of me and you in all life as that one life, filled with the love and the peace and the joy that God is. And as I know that, the prince or the princess comes. And so I need to be putting my prayer power, my conscious awareness, not on the lagniappe, but on the prize. Otherwise, it's kind of like walking into the donut store and going, I want that 13th donut. I don't want to pay for the 12. I just want you to give me the free one. That doesn't work. No donut maker in the world's going to do that. So neither does spirit. Spirit wants you to look and put your awareness on the prize. And if we focus on the prize, we get the lanyap, and that's great. So I want to switch gears for just a second, and we'll come back to lanyaps again in a second. But I want to just ask you, you might have noticed that we have a new president now, that Inauguration Day was on Wednesday. And I listened to the inauguration speech, and you know, the thing that really drew my attention in that talk was that there was a focus on unity. Now, I think our new president, President Biden, was mostly talking about unity as in a little u unity, us coming together as a country. But what pulled my heartstrings was the idea, the thought that we were moving more and more towards the capital U unity, the oneness that God is, knowing each and every one of us as that divine life. And so I was really enheartened. I really loved that. Another thing that I noticed was that he talked about the issues at hand as if they're issues that are at hand. And you know, and I thought about Ernest Holmes, wherever he is, if he's looking down, I think he would have smiled. Because on your screen right now is a quote from Ernest. He says, "In the science of mind, we do not say everything is all right when it is all wrong." Okay? We don't ignore the truth. We lean into the truth. It's not that we throw a pity party because the truth isn't what we like, but ignoring the truth, whitewashing the truth, turning away from the truth, all of those things that we can do, sometimes we try to do, those actually don't move us forward. It's when we lean into the truth a little bit. By that, what I mean is I lean in to know, what is it speaking to me right now? And one of the things that he's saying is that, you know, when we do that, when we lean into the truth, what we're not doing is we're not sugarcoating it anymore. And what we're called to do is take 100% responsibility. Now, I'm serious about the 100%, and I mean it that way. I mean it 100%, not 110%, not 200%, not 1,000,000%. We all know people who take more responsibility for what's going around than is theirs to carry. And what that does is it deprives the people who should be taking responsibility from being able to take their share. And on the other hand, we don't want to take 90% or 50% or 10% or none, right? we have a bit of that showing up in American culture right now, not taking responsibility for our lives, for the things that happen, blaming other people, blaming circumstances around us. If only then I could. All of that is taking less responsibility than what I should be taking. The 100% mark, where I take responsibility for what I have in this life. And so I want to also mention that one of those real issues that he actually talked about, which surprised me, was he talked about white supremacy. And so I have a quote up on the screen right now I'd like to read you. It comes from Resmaa Menakem. And he writes a great book that we've been reading, and a number of us at Ahiah have been reading. It's called My Grandmother's Hands, Racialized Trauma and the Pathway to Mending Our Hearts and Bodies. It's a long, long title there, but what it means is what he says here, this quote. He says, "We don't need to understand white supremacy because white supremacy isn't rational. We won't end it with intellect alone. It is internalized deep within our bodies. So we've been having a number of activities here at Ahiah that is working on this white supremacy issue, racial equality. How do we move towards racial equality here at Ahiah and the world around us? And some of those things are we did a book study on me and white supremacy. We've had Ubuntu circles. And so far we've had 2 Creating the Beloved Community workshops. And all of that has been well attended here at Ahiah, and I thank you for doing that, because you know what I'm looking at, just like this last workshop that we had on Creating the Beloved Community. In that workshop, we did an exercise of creating safe space within the workshop. The intent is to create the safe space within that workshop. And then by having that skill that we create, it plants a seed right here in our own backyard called Ahiah, where that safe space, those skills are allowed to grow and prosper, and we create more safe space here. And then we create it out in the world around us and in our relationships and our friends, and it just grows. It's a beautiful growth. So the thing about this whole activity, though, is I want to remind you that ending white supremacy or moving towards racial equality, however you want to term it, it's the lanyat. It's the thing we get by going to a place of knowing the unity that we all are, that's the truth of us. It's the thing we get when we let Spirit do the work in our lives, when we align ourselves with the love and the peace and the joy that God is. So, I have one more thing I want to share with you. It's on the screen right now. It's a quote by Jeff Brown out of a book called Grounded Spirituality. And he says, if you want to live a more spiritual life, live a more human life. Be more truly, madly, deeply human. And I couldn't agree more. I think it's time for us to be more deeply, madly human than we've ever been before. I think it's time for us to recognize ourselves as one of the 7.8 billion humans that are alive on this planet. I think it's time for us to recognize that it's not about black or white. It's about unity. It's not about us versus them. It's about unity. And yes, knowing this humanity that we're all a part of deeply, profoundly, madly, it means that yes, I see the color. Yes, I see the differences. Yes, I see the wonderful variety that is everywhere present in this 7.8 billion people. And yes, I still see the one. I still see the oneness that we all are. I see the oneness and the peace and the harmony that God is, all intermixed and intertwined in all of us. And so that all points to the prize. That all points to knowing more fully ourselves as the love and the peace and the joy and the oneness that God is. And the lanyat is knowing racial equality. So I want to leave you then with an affirmation. It's showing on your screen. And if you'll just say it along with me, I listen to Spirit and allow it to work through me. So let's say that one more time. I listen to Spirit and allow it to work through me. Nice, short, sweet, something for us to think about through the week. So as you go out into your week, what I'd like you to remember is to let Spirit do the work. Let Spirit tell you what you need to do. What part is yours? You're going to be 100% responsible. What part of it are you responsible for? And let other people to do what they're responsible for. When we are focusing on the lanyap, what I really want you to know is focus on the truth of what Spirit is. And I'd like you to take the advice of a sunflower. Be bright, be bold, and always face the sun. Right? Be bright, be bold, always face God, source of all of our good. And always allow the lanyap then to be the bonus that comes out of knowing that truth. And so, and as always, if you are in doubt in any way, just let Spirit guide you. Thank you, and namaste. So, I want to invite you to come along on a journey with me of prayer. As we go down deep inside to that place that knows that it knows that it knows. That place inside of me, that place inside of you, that place inside of all life, of all consciousness. That is the love and the peace and the joy that creates out of itself into this world, into you, into me, into everything we see and we touch. I recognize that power and that presence, and I recognize it absolutely as the love and the peace and the joy that fills this world, the oneness that connects us all. And as that's true of God, I know it to be the truth of me, and I know it to be the truth of you, that we are all the one life, living itself fully and completely in, as, and through our lives always. And so our life is created out of that same love and peace and joy that all life is. There is no other truth. There is no other anything. There is just Spirit showing up in all the magnificent ways that it shows up. And so it's from this place of knowing that I speak my word as the truth of you, as the truth of me, as the truth of our world, knowing absolutely that the love that God is everywhere, for it permeates all of being, that it creates out of itself, and the love that it is to move into our life and our relationships, in the world around us, in all that God gives of itself to us with no strings attached. It shows up in the grace that we live in, the ease that we live our lives when we just focus on Spirit to allow us and guide us and move us, to tell us which one of the options of moving around the mountain or over the mountain or through the mountain, which one's the right one for us. And we allow it to work through us with that grace, with that ease, with that joy. I'm knowing absolutely the wholeness that Spirit is, that order that Spirit is showing up in each and every one of our lives, in, as, and through this body temple, knowing absolutely that that order and wholeness is divinely inspired, that it is already baked into who we are. And so anyone that we know of that is not experiencing that in their life, I am knowing absolutely that it is a revealing of the truth of them that will bring them back to the full health that they desire. It's a revealing of what is already true of them, that is absolutely what is being called to know more fully, more completely in our lives and for this world. And so for knowing all of that, I just give thanks. And I release this prayer to the law, knowing that it's already fulfilled in the mind that God is. And I say, life and God are good and very good. And together we say, and so it is. Amen and amen. And so now's the time for our conscious contributions. And I know I'm knowing right now because, I see all the contributions coming in online. And I want to say thank you for all of those that are already come in this week. And I know that many of you who are watching have already done that conscious contribution. So I want to say thank you for that. If you have not done it yet, there are 3 ways showing up on your screen right now for you to do it. You can either go to ahiah.com/donate or select one of the buttons there, whether you want to do it through Breeze or Give Butter. And then you can also text to give by texting a number that you want to donate to 616-229-2225. And last of all, you can always send a check to Ahiah. We love getting the checks, and I love getting the little love notes that you throw in there. So if you want to do that, just mail the check to Ahiah at 150 North El Molino Avenue, Pasadena, California, 91101. However you do that, I'd like you to hold your gift virtually up to your heart and repeat this blessing with me. This gift I give is God in action. I send it forth with joy and confidence and ease. I am blessed by the law of giving and receiving as I now share my gift with life. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so it is. Amen and amen. And so now I'm going to ask Sharyn Scott to come on back up and give us a little musical word to tell us some good news.
Woohoo! Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. And I say, it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say, it's alright. Little darling, the smiles returning to our faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say, it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Little darling, I feel the ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say, it's alright. comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Come on, can you see it now? Sun, 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 here it comes. Yeah.
Yes, here it comes. The sun is shining. I love it. So I just want to thank you, Sharyn. Thank you, the band. That was wonderful. It really lifts my spirits. That's great. So I just want to do a couple of quick announcements. Well, first of all, I want to start off by reminding people that we do offer prayer here at Ahiah. We say that prayer works because it does. We know we have so many good news that comes back from the people that ask for prayer. And so if something is showing up in your life and you want some prayer, there's some easy ways to get that. One is to, you can always call our office and hit the option number 6, and you can give us a voicemail. You can also go to our website and go to ahiah.com/prayers, and then you can fill out the form, and we will pray for you guys for the next week. The practitioners, myself, Reverend Mike, we're all on it at that point. So however you want to do that. We also have a dial-up prayer that gets put into our website, and you can go to our website to find that. It's under prayers. It's dial-up prayer. Or you can also call our office and hit option 7, and you can hear one of our practitioners doing a reading and a prayer. So a couple of quick announcements. One is that our nominating committee has been kicked off. It's we have Mindy Morrison, who's been our president for a while, and we have Troy Mitchell, who's been on the board as our facilities manager, and they're both leaving the board because they've finished their 3-year term. And so I want to say thank you. Troy's right here. I want to say thank you to Troy. And Mindy, you're out in the ethers there. Thank you to you too. And so we have a nominating committee. The nominating committee is Mindy, Troy, Brian. Brian's here. Thank you, Brian. Kelly, who you saw doing the prayer today, she's on there. And then myself. Thank you to me. And this nominating committee's job is to put out an application process for you that we will get to you next week. And then to follow that up with interviews and then put together a slate of candidates that they give to the board to choose from. So that process is all ongoing, and it will culminate in our voting on March 28th, which is when our annual meeting is scheduled. So put March 28th on your calendar. It'll be right after service. We'll be going into the annual meeting. I also want to remind you that we've got a class starting. It's my class. I'll be teaching it. It's called Beyond Limits. And the idea is that we have imposed on ourselves limits. We've done it by agreeing to things that actually probably weren't quite true, but they served us at the time, or at least they seemed to. And so we made choices. We made decisions, we created beliefs through all of that, which now are limiting us in our lives. And this class, it's an entry-level class. It's open to everybody, and it's 10 weeks, and it's going to teach us to break that glass ceiling that's been, we've been hitting our heads against. And it'll teach us to move beyond that and move into a greater space in the world, a greater knowing ourselves as the truth that Spirit is, a greater abundance and prosperity. All of that is what I am going to be teaching us in this class. And the wonderful thing about a class is that we get the support of all the people in the class. We get to hear their stories. We get to see how those fit in. So every one of our classes is a new experience every time. This is the first time this class has been taught at Ahiah, so it's brand new. I would really love to see you in the class. It starts Tuesday at 6:30, and you can sign up for it on the website at ahiah.com/classes. Just hit the registration button there, and to join, there's a Go to Zoom button also in the same place. So I love to see you Tuesday, 7 o'clock this week and the next 10 weeks. And then we've got the beloved community. Just put the next one on your calendar. That one's going to be February 15th. And then we have one more announcement from Reverend Karen. Go ahead, Harris.
Good morning, Ahiah family. This is Reverend Karen Frost with a special invitation to join me and my mom for a book study of The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. Written in the 1930s, it's shocking how much this book is still relevant today. In the book study, we will identify how many of the quote-unquote truths we were taught in our school systems were designed to create a system of white supremacy that is still in place. Together, we will support each other as we work to release and heal these beliefs. In the science of mind, we understand that our beliefs create our reality. This class is an important and valuable way to identify and heal our unconscious beliefs around race in America. This is your only opportunity to take this deep dive with my mother and I. We are not offering this class again, and no recordings are available. We are doing this work together, live on Zoom, every Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific for 9 weeks, starting on January 17th. Please register ASAP.
So, Reverend Karen, thank you for that. I've joined that class last week. I'll join it again this week. I really enjoyed it. And I hope that that's something that, if it's calling to you, that you'll go ahead and join us at 1 o'clock also. So let's go ahead and do our benediction. It's showing up on the screen right now, and you can read it along with me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all of my affairs. I accept it. I am it, and I share it. Just the way it appears, and just the way it appears not. Thank you, life. Amen and amen. So, I'll be joining you in our fellowship hall in just, well, not in our fellowship hall. that is from a few months ago, 10 months or so ago. We would have been joining you in the fellowship hall. But I'll be joining you on Zoom in about 5 minutes. If you want to join me, I would love to chat with you. I'd love to get to know you, or just get caught up with you, however that is. So you can join me at by going to ahiah.com/virtual and then hitting the Go to Zoom button. That'll get you right in there, and I'd love to chat with you. I hope to see you then. Thank you, and namaste.